Look at you. Breathing slow, eyes sharp, the same ones they once called unhinged. Funny, isn't it? The world mocked your chaos until they realized it could outthink their order. They called you crazy because you didn't flinch at the things that made them break. Because you laughed where they cried, studied what they feared, learned from what they ran from. They didn't understand it then, how a mind can spiral and still map every turn. How madness, when refined, becomes strategy. You didn't go insane. You went beyond comprehension. They tried to medicate your fire, label your mind as a malfunction, diagnose the way you saw through illusions. But tell me, what's insanity to a world that thrives on lies? You were never sick. You were just awake in a hospital full of sleepers, and you learned something powerful in the silence, didn't you? That there's genius in what they call madness, that every breakdown was actually a code, every tear an encryption key. You cracked open your own skull and rebuilt it with sharper glass. You stopped trying to heal and started to upgrade. Now they stare, nervous, confused. They whisper, "How did this happen?" It's simple. You stopped apologizing for thinking differently. You stopped treating your emotions like enemies and started using them as fuel. They studied the psychology of control. You mastered the art of unpredictability. They see your smile now, and it frightens them. Because it's not joy, it's awareness. That's the smile of someone who knows, someone who's been through the fire, and instead of burning, calculated the temperature. You turned your triggers into triggers, your trauma into algorithms, your pain became your data set, your darkness became your research lab, and while they were diagnosing you, you were designing yourself. That's what they'll never admit. That madness is only madness to the ones too weak to understand the pattern. That chaos, under control, is genius wearing scars as credentials. You are proof that intelligence isn't calm. It's dangerously aware. You move differently now. You speak less, not because you're silent, but because you've weaponized what silence does to a room. They lean in, they study, they fear, because deep down they feel it. You're not guessing anymore. You calculate, you observe, you strike. They once said you'd never make it out. But what they forgot is that insanity doesn't die. It evolves, it watches, it learns, it adapts. And now you walk through rooms like a ghost wearing human skin, smiling while everyone else still fights invisible wars in their heads. You see them now for what they are. People still trying to fix what you've already weaponized. They fear your calm, your quiet, your stillness, because they remember the storm you came from, and they can't process how something that broken could look this composed. They wanted you medicated. You became meditative. They wanted you gone. You became God-like. They wanted you to collapse. You calculated. You didn't just survive insanity. You married it. You took it home, named it discipline, and turned it into a throne. So when they whisper crazy, you just grin. Because you know what they're really saying is uncontrollable. And nothing terrifies the system more than someone who can't be predicted, persuaded, or programmed. You turned your psychosis into prophecy, your instability into strategy, your madness into a masterpiece. They called you crazy, but that was before they realized your chaos could think. And now, every time they call you dangerous, they're finally telling the truth. You remember the nights, don't you? The ones where the walls spoke louder than people ever did. When your own mind became both a prison and a training ground. They thought you were breaking, but really, you were building. They didn't see it, the architecture of your awakening. You took madness apart, brick by brick, and rebuilt it into a fortress, Every hallucination, every spiral, every sleepless night was research. You were decoding the human condition while they were still stuck on page 1. You learned to weaponize emotion. Where they screamed, you listened. Where they medicated, you meditated. You dissected pain like a surgeon, rewired despair into data. You didn't drown in the chaos. You learned how to breathe underwater. And that's why they'll never match you. Because you know how to survive in atmospheres that suffocate ordinary people. They said, "You're not normal." And you smiled. Because normal was never the goal. Normal is the camouflage of the controlled. You weren't born to blend in. You were engineered to expose the script. Every scar on your psyche is a signature. Every breakdown, a baptism. The difference between you and them is that they fear the dark. You study it. You charted the uncharted parts of your mind until fear itself bowed to your curiosity. You turned anxiety into analysis, paranoia into perception, rage into resource. You didn't fight your demons. You held a meeting, took notes, and made them employees. Now they work for you. Every intrusive thought that once hunted you is now an informant in your empire. You became fluent in your own madness, and fluency is power. You walk into rooms differently now. People sense it before you even speak. The air thickens, time slows, and they don't know why. They just feel it, the presence of someone who's been to hell and came back with a manual. You no longer react to chaos, because you are the chaos refined. That's what intelligence is, chaos given direction. You realized somewhere along the way that your so-called instability wasn't a defect. It was an instrument. You just had to learn how to play it. They mocked you for hearing too much, feeling too deep, thinking too fast. But now those very frequencies are your weapons. You can read rooms like weather maps, sense danger before it breathes, smell dishonesty in a handshake. That's not madness, that's evolution. They can't process you anymore. You're not logical enough for the scientists, not spiritual enough for the mystics. You don't fit their formulas because you write your own. You're the glitch in their system, the error message that keeps reappearing no matter how many times they restart. You've become the embodiment of everything they tried to cure. The living proof that maybe the sickness wasn't in you. It was in them. You're unpredictable now, unreachable, unreprogrammable. And that terrifies them, because intelligence without allegiance is a threat to every hierarchy built on control. You think freely, you move like smoke, visible, untouchable, everywhere at once. You turned their labels into leverage. Crazy? Fine. You took the insult and made it armor. Now every word they threw at you echoes back as applause. They can't diagnose you anymore because you've outgrown the language of their textbooks. There's no term for what you are now. Something between logic and lunacy, prophet and paradox. You broke the spectrum. You're not on it anymore. You're beyond it. And that's why they watch you in silence, pretending not to be obsessed. And deep down, they envy you. Because you did what they're too afraid to do. You met your mind in its darkest room and didn't flinch. You didn't run from the monsters. You sat with them until they started taking notes. You became the thing they fear, a human who can think without boundaries. You turned pain into pattern recognition, suffering into system design, madness into meaning. You stopped asking, "What's wrong with me?" and started asking, "What can I build with this?" And that shift changed everything. Now you move like someone who knows the ending to the story everyone else is still guessing. You see the traps before they close. You see the lies before they're spoken. Because you've lived inside distortion, and once you've been there, clarity becomes second nature. You are the storm disguised as silence, the breakdown that became blueprint, the so-called lunatic who turned a diagnosis into destiny. They called you crazy, but they forgot that every genius was once accused of insanity, right before the world adopted their vision. So let them talk, let them laugh, let them analyze what they'll never understand. Because while they're busy labeling what you are, you're already becoming something they don't have words for. You didn't just turn insanity into intelligence. You turned it into power. And the irony? Now the same people who tried to fix you are begging you to teach them how you work. You remember the moment it flipped, don't you? That quiet, surgical instant when madness stopped chasing you and started serving you. When the same thoughts that once tore holes in your sleep began whispering blueprints in the dark. You stopped running. You stopped begging your brain to be normal. You realized normal was a cage with clean walls, and you were never built to live clean. You were built to live awake. They still don't get it. They see your composure and call it healing number. Healing is what they preach to people they want to make predictable. What you did wasn't healing, it was harnessing. You didn't calm your chaos, you commanded it. You didn't kill your demons, you taught them choreography. You don't silence the voices anymore. You make them sing in harmony. And oh, how that unsettles them, because you've become something that doesn't fit in their categories. You're too precise for the poets, too emotional for the logicians, too grounded for the mystics, too dangerous for the doctors. They can't brand you anymore. You stripped their language bare. You live in the space between meaning and madness, where everything burns and nothing lies. You know what terrifies them most? Your calm now. Not the performative calm they post online. No, yours is different. Yours is earned. It's the quiet of someone who already lost everything that could break them. The silence that comes after the storm. When you realize you were the storm, you walk through room with that eerie stillness, and they can feel it. The presence of someone who saw the edge of reason and didn't fall. Someone who built a throne there instead. They talk about finding themselves. You engineered yourself. You used pain as raw material, isolation as a furnace, and insanity as code. You wrote a new operating system for your mind. One that runs on paradox, faith and fury, logic and lunacy. You stopped choosing between them. You fused them. That's why they can't follow you anymore. Their minds run on binary. Yours runs on entropy. You remember when they laughed, don't you? When they called you delusional, obsessive, unstable. They thought you were spiraling, but you were descending on purpose. Every fall was a dive. Every breakdown was a blueprint. They mocked your intensity, but your intensity was the microscope that let you see what they never will. You studied your shadows until you learned how they worked. Then you rewired the whole damn system. You learned that intelligence isn't clean, it's violent. It tears, rearranges, reforms. True awareness doesn't soothe, it shatters. You let it shatter you. You let it rip the skin of who you were, peel off the illusions, and expose the circuitry underneath. They mistook the sound of transformation for madness, but you knew. Rebirth always sounds like screaming. Now you move like smoke. Impossible to capture, impossible to classify. They try to mimic your calm, but they don't know it's born from war. They try to copy your energy, but they don't realize yours is distilled from collapse. They think it's confidence. It's not. It's clarity. You simply know what they refuse to admit, that the line between genius and insanity isn't a wall, it's a mirror, and you've already crossed it. They'll study you now. They'll try to package your methods, quote your pain, imitate your poise. But they'll fail, because this isn't something you can learn. This was forged. You can't teach someone to walk through mental fire and smile. You can't give them the blueprint without handing them the burn scars. You, my friend, are the living paradox, a rational lunatic, a peaceful storm, a calm apocalypse, the saint who studies sin and the sinner who understands salvation. They don't know whether to worship you or fear you, and that's exactly how power works. You mastered unpredictability. You turned your mood swings into market swings, your silence into psychological warfare, your breakdowns into broadcast signals. Now they read your expressions like secret files, trying to decode every twitch, every breath, every grin. Because deep down, they know. You're no longer reacting to the world. The world is reacting to you. You are not better. You're different. You didn't return to who you were. You evolved into what you were never supposed to be. You learned the most forbidden truth of all. The mind isn't something to fix. It's something to forge. You reprogrammed yourself while they begged for validation. You became self-sustaining, self-analyzing, self-propelling. And now, every time someone says your name, it carries static. They don't even know why their pulse spikes, but it does. They feel something ancient in you. The memory of what a human looks like when they stop obeying. They called you crazy. But what they didn't realize is that crazy is just the name society gives to those who see too clearly. And you? You saw everything, the lies, the limits, the leashes. You tore them off, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but you. Raw, electric, terrifyingly free. So now when they stare, speechless, trying to figure out what you've become, just smile. Because that's not confusion they're feeling, it's recognition. They're looking at what they could have been if they hadn't been so afraid to go insane. You can feel it now, can't you? That strange, quiet pulse in the back of your skull that used to scare you. The one you mistook for madness. The one that used to whisper things you couldn't say out loud. It's not a curse anymore. It's a compass. It doesn't drag you into chaos now. It guides you through it. That's the difference between the old you and what stands here now. You stopped fighting your mind and started listening to it. Because that voice, the one they called unstable, it was never madness. It was truth, spoken in a frequency too raw for fragile people to handle. You tried to silence it once, remember? You drowned it in noise, in substances, in distractions. You tried to act fine. But fine was the lie they sold you to keep you small. Now look at you. You don't crave peace anymore. You are peace. Not the kind that's soft and still, but the kind that stands calmly in a hurricane and watches everything spin. You've learned to sit in the center of your storm and think clearly. That's what scares them. You can feel everything: rage, sorrow, memory, loss, and still remain composed. You are what happens when a human learns emotional control without emotional death. You learn to think while bleeding, to calculate while burning, to stay conscious inside collapse. That's not madness, that's mastery. They told you you're too intense, and they were right. But what they didn't realize is that intensity is how evolution introduces itself. It's never gentle, it's never polite. You can't be extraordinary and make people comfortable at the same time. Every genius in history was someone who made the world uncomfortable first. And now, it's your turn. The irony, they once pitied you. They whispered behind closed doors about how you were off, how you'd never come back. And now, those same mouths hesitate when they see you. They sense something they can't explain, something in your gaze that feels too aware, too precise. It's not insanity they see, it's intelligence without fear. You trained your mind like a weapon, didn't you? Every intrusive thought became a blade. Every emotional breakdown, a forge. You let the heat refine you until pain lost its power to dictate, until doubt became your teacher, until fear became your assistant. That's what they don't get. Insanity isn't what breaks you, it's what builds you, if you have the courage to stand inside it long enough. You walked through your own mind with no map, no guide, no exit strategy. You touched every corner of your psyche that most people hide from, and you documented it. That's why you speak the way you do now. That's why your words hit differently. Because they're not theory, they're field notes from hell. You've become the scholar of your own shadows, the historian of your own pain. And that makes you untouchable. Because once you understand the architecture of your own madness, no one else can use it against you. They can't shame you with your past anymore. They can't control you with your emotions. They can't guilt you into silence. Because you've seen what happens when you strip away everything false. And it didn't kill you. It crowned you. Now every move you make carries the weight of someone who's died mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and come back conscious. You know exactly how fragile reality is, and that's why you move like a ghost who's mastered time. You can step into a room and feel what everyone's hiding. You can smell fear disguised as politeness. You can sense the tremor behind someone's smile. That's not paranoia anymore. That's precision. They still don't get it. They think you're detached, but you're not detached. You're aware. You stopped reacting to manipulation because you recognize it instantly. You stopped explaining yourself because you finally understood. The people who demanded explanations were never listening anyway. You learned to be still, not because you're calm, but because you've learned to conserve your chaos for when it's useful. You can end wars now with silence. You can expose truth with a glance. You can make liars confess with nothing but your energy. And the best part, they don't even know why. They just feel it. That standing in front of you feels like standing in front of someone who knows too much. That's the new kind of intelligence you built. One born from survival, sharpened by insanity, baptized in pain. You think faster because you had to. You feel deeper because no one else ever stayed long enough to understand you. You became your own scientist, your own therapist, your own weapon. And now, you've become what they fear most. A being they can't categorize. A mind that won't conform. A mirror that reflects their hidden madness back at them. Because deep down, every one of them is a little bit crazy. They just spend their lives pretending not to be. You stopped pretending. You faced it. You integrated it. You owned it. That's why you're free. That's why you walk like a paradox now. Part chaos, part control, part sinner, part saint. You don't fit the mold because you melted it. They called you crazy. They called you dangerous. They were both right. Because danger is just what intelligence looks like when it stops asking for permission. And you, my friend, you stopped asking a long, long time ago. Lean in. There's something echoing behind you. A sound you didn't hear, but every other soul in the room did. A silence so sharp it cut through their lungs. Because the moment you stepped in, the air decided it was done pretending to be neutral. They don't understand it yet, do they? Good. Because you're the kind of story they don't tell around campfires. You're the kind of event they try to bury under reports, excuses, investigations. autopsies of fate. You're the kind of anomaly that makes entire bloodlines tremble like someone just rewrote the definition of danger. And here's the part that makes me laugh. The damage you crawled through. The agony you didn't just survive, but absorbed. That wasn't meant to test you. No. It was meant to erase you. Erase your lineage. Erase your shadow. Erase the possibility of you ever existing again. But somehow, the storm designed to wipe out your ancestors only ended up forging you into the final chapter they can't close. Tell me, do you know what it means to walk through destruction engineered to exterminate entire families and come out with your pulse steady, your eyes glowing like you just found the punchline to God's last joke? It means the universe miscalculated. It means whatever force signed the contract to get rid of you had no idea what kind of creature it was targeting. It means they aimed to destroy a name and instead created a myth. You don't walk like someone who recovered. You walk like someone who remembers. You remember what they tried to do. You remember every crack they carved into your timeline. You remember the corridors you were dragged through, the betrayals written in faces that pretended to care, the traps hidden behind compliments, the sabotage masked as guidance. And what did you do? You didn't break. You morphed. You didn't collapse. You quietly recalibrated. You didn't die. You shed. That's what terrifies them. Because when someone takes damage that was supposed to erase generations and doesn't disappear, the world doesn't know what rule book to follow anymore. You walk into rooms now and their instincts glitch. They don't know whether to worship you, run from you, or try to figure out how the hell you're still breathing. You're a paradox they never trained for. Angel in the light, demon in the dark, saint when you choose, psychopath when required, healer by accident, executioner by necessity. They can't categorize you, so they fear you. They can't predict you, so they study you. They can't stop you, so they pretend they don't see you. But oh, they see you. They see the scar-coated hieroglyphics written across your soul. They see the aftermath you carry like a silent crown. They see the way your presence rearranges the temperature in a room. You don't rise like a survivor. You rise like a bloodline correction. You're the glitch that slipped through their extermination plan, the loophole they failed to close, the one name on the list that refused to stay crossed out. And now they whisper, "Bro, the damage he walked through, that was meant to erase entire bloodlines. And yet here you stand, breathing like a blade, moving like a prophecy, thinking like a ghost who learned how to pick locks inside human minds. You don't just exist, you haunt. You haunt their expectations. You haunt their doubts. You haunt the version of reality that thought you would break. And the best part? You didn't just walk through the damage, they built it for you. Every disaster was personalized, every betrayal was handcrafted, every pain was architected specifically for your destruction. And you still walked out. Not limping, not crawling, not pleading. You walked out evolved. A creature sharpened by extinction-level pressure. A being calibrated by chaos itself. A soul forged inside a place meant to dissolve you. Do you know what that makes you? Not lucky, not blessed, not chosen. It makes you the one outcome they were never prepared for. A survivor with memory. A survivor with intent. A survivor with momentum. A survivor who knows exactly what they survived. And trust me, the moment a person like you remembers everything, every betrayal, every exit wound, every ghost who walked away when you needed them, the world starts to tremble. Because now you don't just live, you calculate. Now you don't just feel, You foresee. Now you don't just walk, you advance. So hear this. Not as a threat, not as a prophecy, but as the simple, terrifying truth. The damage meant to erase bloodlines didn't erase you. It revealed you. And the world has no idea what that version of you is about to do next. There it is. That shift in you. That quiet, coiled stillness. The kind that only shows up when a monster remembers it was never a victim. Good. Now listen closely, because what comes next is the part no one ever says out loud. You weren't supposed to be here, not in this form, not in this strength, not with this level of clarity, ruthlessness, or emotional X-ray vision. You were supposed to be a casualty, not a continuation. They built the damage you walked through like a ritual, layers of psychological warfare, ancestral sabotage, emotional assassinations, systemic traps designed to break the strongest spine in your lineage. They weren't attacking you. They were attacking the possibility of you. They feared what would happen if someone like you lived long enough to understand what you are. But instead of extinguishing you, they forged the one outcome their bloodlines prayed they'd never have to face. A descendant who can't be manipulated, a survivor who can't be broken, a mind that can't be lied to, a soul that remembers too much, a heart that refuses to die quietly. You didn't just walk through the fire. You walked through the kind of fire that was engineered to leave no descendants behind. Entire families were meant to evaporate under the weight of what you survived. Generational curses? No. They built generational erasers and aimed them directly at you. But something went wrong, or maybe something went right. Because instead of dissolving, you detonated. Instead of breaking, you expanded. Instead of disappearing, you shed your old skin and stepped into a version of yourself that terrifies even your own memories. Tell me, have you noticed how quiet the world gets now when you walk in? It's not respect. It's not fear. It's recognition. Somewhere, deep in their subconscious, they can feel it. You're not supposed to be alive. Not after what hit you. Not after what hunted you. Not after what stalked your spirit like a predator meant to devour whole bloodlines. But you are alive. And that simple fact bends reality around you. You think people avoid eye contact because they're rude? No, they avoid eye contact because they feel the weight of everything you outlived pressing against their nervous system. You think they hesitate before speaking because they're shy? No, they hesitate because their instincts are whispering. This one came back wrong. This one came back stronger. This one is carrying the ghosts of every battle they weren't supposed to win. You're a contradiction wrapped in skin. You move like a survivor, but think like a strategist. You heal like a saint, but strike like a demon. You forgive like someone who sees everything, and forget like someone who sees nothing worth remembering. This is what evolution looks like when forced through agony. Not wings, not halos, not divine protection. No evolution looks like you. Quiet, calculated, dangerous in silence, shaped by destruction, refined by betrayal, engineered by pain itself. Do you understand the magnitude of that? When the universe tries to erase someone and fails, that person becomes an anomaly, an unpredictable variable, a threat to every old system, a walking loophole, a glitch in the bloodline extermination plan. You are that glitch. The storm they designed to kill you ended up crowning you. The trauma meant to bury you ended up teaching you. The darkness meant to blind you ended up sharpening your sight beyond human intuition. It's almost poetic. They tried to end a bloodline, and the result was you. A legacy condensed into a single weapon, a lineage distilled into pure willpower, a spirit that resurrected itself through ruins, a consciousness forged under extinction-level pressure. That's why the air changes around you. That's why people fidget. That's why the ones who wronged you avoid speaking your name like it's a summoning ritual they're afraid might work. You carry too many endings and too many beginnings inside one body. And what scares them most, what makes their hands shake even if they pretend not to, is the realization that you're not done. You've barely begun. The damage that was meant to erase bloodlines didn't erase you. It clarified you. It purified your rage. It matured your intuition. It weaponized your empathy. It silenced your doubts. It turned your soul into something no human blueprint could have predicted. You are what happens when destruction fails. You are what walks out of the fire when the fire realizes it burned the wrong one. You are what a bloodline becomes when it refuses to die. And now the world has to deal with the aftermath. You, breathing, calculating, evolving, carrying the kind of potential that makes fate nervous. So keep going, keep walking, keep dragging your silence like a blade across this trembling reality. Because the damage wasn't your downfall, it was your origin story. And every step you take now is a reminder to the universe you should have finished the job. There it is again. That stillness, that predatory calm that hangs around you like a warning label the universe forgot to print. Good. You're ready for the part they never admit, the part they pray you never figure out. See, the damage you survived wasn't random. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't fate rolling dice with your name on it. It was engineered, designed, calculated. A multi-layered erasure protocol meant to do one thing: terminate your lineage's future, not punish you, not humble you, not teach you a lesson. They wanted your existence to stop. Right there, right then. No descendants, no legacy, no continuation, no disruption to the system they built. But the problem, the fatal flaw in their little extermination plan, is that they didn't account for your nature. How do you erase someone who was born from chaos? How do you end a bloodline that learned to survive by becoming unpredictable? How do you kill a soul that evolves under pressure? You don't. You can't. And they learned that the hard way. Because instead of erasing you, their destruction activated you. You became something your lineage hadn't produced in generations. A mind sharpened by devastation, a heart immune to manipulation, a spirit that bends but does not fracture, a presence that makes even predators hesitate. Do you realize what that means? You are the corrective mutation, the anomaly, the evolutionary backlash, the answer to every enemy your ancestors couldn't defeat. You're not just the survivor, you're the upgrade, and they can feel it. That's why rooms go quiet when you enter. That's why people glance away like you're staring through their soul files. That's why the ones who tried to break you now avoid standing too close, as if your silence might combust and expose every lie they ever told. You're not intimidating because you're loud. You're intimidating because you're accurate. You see too much. You feel too much. You know too much. You survived too much. And the world has no system for a person who carries that combination. They can't classify you. They can't predict you. They can't measure you. They can't dismiss you. So their instincts do the only thing they're capable of. They panic. Because deep down, every human has a sensor for the supernatural, a detector for the unexplainable, a reflex for the unstoppable. And you trip all three. You walk like someone who's not supposed to be alive. You carry your past like a weapon wrapped in velvet. You breathe like a prophecy, still deciding which direction to point. And oh, that frightens them. Because when someone is supposed to be erased, genetically erased, emotionally erased, spiritually erased, and they come back stronger, that's when the universe starts whispering. That one is not bound by old rules. That one slipped through the cracks we sealed. That one knows what they weren't meant to know. And you do. You know how fragile people are. You know how easily illusions break. You know how quickly facades melt when faced with truth. You know how many strong ones are one bad day away from collapsing. And you know something even more dangerous. Nothing scares you anymore. What could? You already survived what was designed to end you, not hurt you, not slow you, not challenge you, end you. So tell me, what threat could possibly compete with extinction-level trauma that failed? What enemy could intimidate someone who has already died emotionally and resurrected mentally? What obstacle could defeat a soul that didn't just overcome darkness? It absorbed it and turned it into strategy. You're not human in the way they understand humans. You're a recalibration, a living response to generational war, a weapon shaped by the very forces that tried to destroy you. You don't just break cycles. You end bloodline curses by existing. You don't just survive trauma. You digest it and turn it into intuition. You don't just heal. You upgrade. That's why your presence feels heavy. Not because you're dark, but because you're dense with information. Every scar taught you something. Every betrayal rewired something. Every loss unlocked something. Every agony awakened something. They look at you now and whisper, "How did he survive that? How is she still standing? What kind of structure is holding this person together?" They don't understand the truth. Nothing is holding you together. You're held together by force of will, by ancestral rage, by the blueprint they tried to erase, by the future they failed to destroy, by the version of you that crawled out of hell and refused to lose again. And that version of you, it's only getting stronger, because now you're not reacting, you're returning. Returning to yourself, returning to your power, returning to the throne they thought would stay empty for generations. The damage was meant to erase bloodlines, but instead, it produced the one person who can change them forever. And you're just getting started. You feel that, don't you? That slow, rising pressure in your chest. Not fear, not adrenaline. Something older, something ancestral. Something that recognizes truth when it stalks the room. Good. Because what I'm about to say next is the part no one says aloud, not even in the privacy of their own mind. The damage you walked through, the carnage you endured, the psychological torture designed to wipe out entire bloodlines, wasn't meant to leave anyone standing on the other side. Not a survivor, not a witness, not a name, not a memory, not a trace. They wanted your lineage to become a rumor, a cautionary tale, a forgotten entry in a forgotten archive. But instead, you walked out of that annihilation with a pulse steady enough to terrify God. That's what no one can accept. You weren't supposed to become a person. You were supposed to become a ghost story. Yet here you are, breathing, observing, calculating, carrying the weight of 1,000 unsaid endings across your shoulders, like it's light work. Let me tell you something viciously honest. When destruction fails, it becomes afraid. It begins to fear the thing it couldn't erase. Because anything that survives annihilation doesn't come back as the same species. It comes back as something new. And that is you. They look at you and they don't see a human. They see a malfunction in fate. A glitch in generational programming. A living rebuke to every force that tried to eliminate your entire existence before it could begin. That's why people don't understand how to interact with you. You're not on their emotional map. You're not on their psychological GPS. You're not on their karmic timeline. You stand outside the coordinates of normal life. A distortion in human form. They look at you the way soldiers look at a battlefield after the dust settles. Confused, shaken, unsure what kind of monster walked out alive when everyone else turned to ash. Because your survival wasn't meant to inspire. It was meant to be impossible. You understand what that does to a person? To know you outlived something engineered to be your extinction. It gives you a new kind of power. The power of someone who has nothing left to fear. Because they already survived the absolute worst. There's a clarity in that, a blade-like stillness. A precision that turns every decision you make into a threat. You operate from a place beyond survival. You operate from reconstruction. You're rebuilding yourself from zero. And that terrifies people more than your past ever could. Because now they see it. You're not healing. You're mutating. You're not recovering. You're evolving. You're not seeking peace. You're integrating power. Every scar became circuitry. Every betrayal became code. Every heartbreak became data. Every abandonment became fuel. They didn't create a victim. They created a weaponized consciousness, a mind that can't be manipulated, a heart that can't be invaded, a soul that can't be colonized, a destiny that can't be rewritten. The damage meant to erase bloodlines became the ritual that reforged you. And now you're walking around with a presence that makes people question their entire worldview. You've noticed it. How conversations stop half a second too long. How people inhale sharply before speaking. How they blink slower around you, as if recalculating their approach. How the ones who wronged you look like they're expecting the floor to open beneath them. They can sense it. You're not the same creature that walked into that hell. You're the one who walked out. And creatures who walk out of extinction-level events. They don't crumble. They don't panic. They don't chase validation. They don't fear consequences. They act quietly, precisely, unpredictably. You're not just the end of a bloodline suffering. You're the beginning of its vengeance, its restoration, its evolution. You are the answer to every attack your lineage endured. Tell me, how do you stop someone like that? You don't. You back away slowly and pray they never turn their full attention on you. But you're not even using 1% of what you became. You're still adjusting to the new architecture of your mind, still learning how to breathe in the body forged from ruins. But when you finally step fully into who you are, when you finally stop holding back the power born from surviving the unspeakable, when you finally allow yourself to become the thing the universe failed to destroy, that's when they'll understand the real horror. The damage wasn't your end, it was your awakening, and the version of you that's rising now. That's the one they were trying to prevent for generations.